Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Rowe. I am the CEO of Support After Abortion, and I am grateful to be among you today. I wanted to personally welcome you to our Support After Abortion Healing Network weekly Facebook Live event. You are going to hear personal testimonies, stories of restoration, how other people are providing restoration, and it is our hope that we can spread the message of hope and healing far and wide. I am so excited to introduce you to Karen Barbito, our program director. She is going to be interviewing someone so amazing today, and you are going to enjoy and leave enlightened, empowered, and equipped.
Hello, thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. I am so excited to be here with you today. It's another Tuesday, another Healing Network Facebook Live, and I hope that you're watching today. Today we have with us Teresa Shepard. She is the co-founder of Healing Our Hearts, an after-abortion healing and support program. So excited to introduce you to her. If you don't know her, you want to get to know this lady. She is powerful and passionate. Thank you, Teresa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you're here. I got to start out by saying that last week I looked at my list. I kind of build out the content weeks ahead of time, so I know who I'm going to be interviewing and have that all confirmed. And I saw your name and I'm thinking, wow, she must have been a presenter at our last conference. And by the way, you can still buy a premium pass for that conference that was held in July. And so I went to look for your presentation and there was no presentation by you. And so I'm like, how in the world did you get on my list?
I have no idea. I know that I bought the premium pass to the conference, absolutely loved it, thought it was probably one of the best conferences I've ever been to. And and the fact that it was done virtually was wonderful because I can go back and rewatch things. But I don't know. You made contact with me and I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, so actually there was a little bit, I did remember afterwards that you signed up for one of our virtual groups. Tell us about that.
Okay.
How did you?
I signed up for the codependency class. I thought it would be good for me to work with the men and women that are going to be a part of our ministry to be able to help them deal with codependency. And so I got a phone call from Carolyn after I signed up, and she did my intake form. And with the intake form, she said, "So Teresa, do you think that you're codependent?" And I said, "Well, I think I am a little." So, well, so when I went through the first week, I texted my leader, Jesse, and I said, "Jesse, I got into this class because I wanted to help other people who might deal with codependency and abortion." And I said, "I found out that I'm the poster child for codependency." So I thought, oh my gosh, I needed this. And it's been unbelievable. The information I'm getting out of this and learning so much about myself. Oh, it's been wonderful.
So for those that are watching, what does codependency look like? Can you describe what that looks like for them? So in case they're codependent and don't recognize it in themselves, you can paint that picture for them.
Well, if you have a lot of trouble saying no to people, if you try to be everybody's everything, or if you might have controlling issues where you try to control everybody around you, or you allow everybody around you to control you. Yeah. So if you have issues like that, you're codependent. If you might be in a relationship with somebody with an addiction, you might be codependent. Because a lot of times if you're with somebody with an addiction, you yourself are codependent. And so, yeah, I'm learning a lot about all the different phases of codependency.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And, we have several virtual groups available to you through our website at www.supportafterabortion.com. You can check and take a look at what we have available. Codependency is one of them. We have a sexual trauma after abortion support groups. So take a look. Make sure that you get plugged in like Teresa did, because if you are sitting in the position of helping other people, it's really important for you to be healed as well, as Teresa just testified to. So thank you for that. So Teresa, we have you here. We have this healing network because we want people to know that abortion happens, that healing is available, and we want them to know where they can go for help. And we're going to talk about your ministry, but if you'd be willing, I'd love for you to share with those that are watching a bit about your own journey.
Okay, I was about 19 years old, and I was dating a boy, and we found out we were pregnant. He had suggested that we have an abortion, and I honestly was kind of clueless. I didn't really know what an abortion was. I'd heard the term, but didn't understand it. So, being codependent, I said, okay, we got to do what we've got to do. We were worried about our parents. We were scared to death. We were young. And so, at first I was a little reluctant, and then I finally was like, okay, I was so afraid of disappointing everybody. So we went and we went to the clinic that was in Peoria. And as we went in, it was very, very bad from the moment we got in there. You go in and you pay your money and nobody talks to you. And so you're just sitting there and you feel all alone. And then they call you back and you go back into another room. They do a pregnancy test. They tell you if you're too far along, at that time you weren't able to have an abortion, or you could, if you were still not too far, you could have the abortion. And unfortunately, I was at 6 weeks, and so I was able to have that abortion. They just call you back into this room. I'm pretty vague on that. I do remember when the doctor walked in, he didn't speak to me. He had a mask on, but nobody said anything to me. And so then after the procedure, I remember I was in a hallway in a hard chair with a cookie and a juice. And I can remember just not feeling anything. There were people crying around me, but I was just numb. And 20 minutes, they send you out the door. Went on our trip home. I remember little bits about the ride home. I can remember looking out and seeing, because we're from the Midwest, so we could see corn, growing out in the field, but I don't remember getting home. I don't remember any of that. It just kind of went away.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about that decision process, that decision-making process? So often we hear people make comments like, just don't have sex, or don't kill your baby and stuff like that. And that really is just such a place of judgment. We would like for people, when they hear the word abortion or come across somebody that's had an abortion, to, check their reaction and maybe lead with compassion, right? And so growing up in the Midwest, a conservative area, a very Christian area, what can you just kind of like develop that a little bit more for us? What were you thinking? And did you consider at all the baby, or was it just the problem that you were addressing? I want people to understand that the decision to abort, there's a lot that goes into that decision. There's a lot of external influences, and it's not an easy decision to make, even when you do make it. So could you expand on that a little bit, Teresa?
You bet. When the decision was made, I was scared. I was so scared of disappointing my parents. I was afraid of disappointing his parents. He did not want anything to do with keeping the pregnancy. And so I was lost. I didn't know what to do. Nobody talked to me about options. And I think that's key. I think if we could talk to them when they find out that they're pregnant, be able to talk to them, show them that there are alternatives, and to be able to make choices that maybe aren't about abortion. Maybe it's about adoption or keeping the baby if that's a possibility. But for me, I was just so scared and just went along with it. Instead of standing up and saying no, I just went along with it.
Yeah, my situation was a little different. I got pregnant in college, and I was in love with the father of my baby, but I knew my parents, like you. It was 40 plus years ago. Nobody talked to you about anything. There was no ultrasounds, nothing like that. I can remember getting my pregnancy test and saying, "Man, I can't do this," and the nurse just hands me a card of where I can go have an abortion. And I was afraid that if I told my parents, they'd make me break up with my boyfriend. I wasn't thinking about my baby at all. I was thinking about me and preserving this relationship. And if somebody had come to me and said, hey, listen, if you really love this guy, your parents are going to have to deal with it at some point, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
And
Like that did
you think,
not.
yeah, that hindsight is always 2020. And I was just, when I think about it now, I think, oh, if I would have just had somebody to talk to, or if I would have had, some other way of being able to deal with it. I think if I would have had a different perspective come into play, it wouldn't have happened possibly. But it happened. I wound up marrying the father of the baby. And then in turn, uh, I wanted a baby right away. I had to have a baby. I wanted that baby. So that became my mindset, was to have a baby. And we wound up 2 years later having my daughter. And I can remember him and I wound up divorcing. And through that process, he had said, I think the only thing you wanted from me was to have that baby. And he said, I feel that now that you have the baby, you didn't need me anymore. That wasn't the case, but I could see where he was coming from, because I was so obsessed about having another baby.
And so that's really common, Teresa, just so you know. Some people call that an atonement baby. Other people call it a replacement baby. And so it is really common, right? After the decision, we're struggling with the decision that we aborted. And it's like, oh my gosh, the only way that I know how to fix this is to have another baby. How did that work out for you?
Well, and I've talked to my daughter a lot about this. It was very hard for me to connect with her, because I mean, I loved her, but the guilt, now you have this live baby, that other baby isn't here. And it was just, you had to guard yourself, because if you were to get all emotional, you might lose control because of that other situation, that abortion that you dealt with, where the baby is not here. And
Yeah.
so I found that was so hard to bond with her. And I've talked to her a lot about it, a lot, because I felt so guilty.
Yeah, yeah. And we find that's very common as well. People that have an abortion before they have children, and conversely, people that have children and then have an abortion. It's really hard for them to look at their living children once they've decided to terminate a pregnancy. So we have a question here for you, and I think that you spoke to it a little bit about why women want to have a baby immediately after abortion. Can you just develop that a little bit more for that person that's asking that question?
You bet. A lot of the reason that I did was because I had killed my baby. And it was my way of, like, atonement. It was my way of being able to say, okay, well, I that one's gone now, so now I have this baby, and now I'm okay. And people don't understand that you can't do things that way. You have to get
Right.
that healing in there, so you can be the best parent you can be.
Right, because the tendency is to either overprotect or not, like going into that next pregnancy in an unhealthy place because you haven't resolved the abortion is not a good outcome for that child, right? Would you agree with that? Okay,
It's
and we have
not.
another question. Do you think that your abortion affected your relationship with the man that you did marry that was part of that abortion? Tell me how. How do you think that happened?
Well,
Or what happened?
there was always a kind of a barrier, and because I had this abortion with him, and there was that pain of that, but the denial that there was any pain, it was never talked about. We we just never dealt with it, and so it was like the elephant in the room all the time. And
Yeah.
so our relationship was never real close. It was like you go through the motions, and I think we kind of felt like we needed to get married because of what we had done. And
Mhm.
so I think there was a lot that went into play there for the unfortunate disillusionment of the marriage then.
Yeah, we find that to be very common, that relationships really struggle after abortion. And so your testimony speaks to that as well. So tell us about so you had an abortion, you got married, had a child, ended up getting divorced. Tell us how you finally got connected to healing, because you're sitting here able to talk about it today, a woman that's free from her past, right? And that's what we want you to know. If you're watching and if you had an abortion and you have not found hope and healing yet, reach out, because that freedom is available for you as well. We don't want you to walk around bound up, and like choking on the secret that you have, this shame that has just developed over time. We want you to walk free so that you can be totally used to your fullest potential. Because like you know, who go through healing and then work in the industry, that's the natural outpouring. So tell us how you got connected with healing.
Okay, well, I had started going to a counselor for an eating disorder. And because my doctor had said that you've got to get this turned around or this is not going to be good for you. And so through that counseling sessions, I had talked about having an abortion and I fell apart because I hadn't talked about it before. And so then they put me in contact with Birthright. And I called Birthright. I was a hot mess when I called. And she said, "Oh, hon, I have a person. I'm going to give you the name of somebody who's going to help you heal." And so I made contact with that person. They walked me through the healing process. I was able to name my baby. I was able to lay my baby down at the feet of Jesus and be able to give it to him. And the healing started, and it was, even now, I just went through a Rachel's Vineyard a year ago because we're going to have a Rachel's Vineyard here in Dubuque County. And part of our training is to go to be a participant at a Rachel's Vineyard. And I thought I was pretty healed. So I was going into it with the mentality that I was going to learn a lot for ours. So the part that startled me was, and I mean, hit me so deep in my heart, was they give you a baby. And with this baby, you take the baby with you and you go to your room and you have quiet time with the baby. So at first I thought, well, you know, when I had read about it, I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder what that does. Well, I'll tell you, I bonded with that baby like it was my daughter. And sorry, I get a little choked up. But I was able to pray with the baby. I talked with her. I held her. I prayed with her. I sang her lullabies, and I read to her things I've never been able to do. And so God just absolutely just gave me such a deep love for her. And I went from this part of healing to this part of healing. And I was a mess when I left, just to say, after you leave a Rachel's Vineyard, they tell you not to work the next day. I get it, because you have to go home and cry, and you have to go home and write in your journal, and you have to process everything that you've been through. But it's amazing. I love it.
So much in there that you said that I just want to come back to. The first point that I want to make is that healing is a process, right?
Yes.
You started at, now where did you say that you went for your first healing? I've never heard of it. What was it called?
Birthright.
What was that? Is that a pregnancy center, or what was it, counseling service?
What they do is they provide pregnancy tests, and they help women be able to, they kind of take the woman that comes in and she's pregnant, and they kind of mentor her, and they walk her through this, and they give her the ability to make good decisions. They give her information that she needs. And they were so instrumental in getting me help. And that's not even usually a part of what they do, but I hit the right woman at the right time, and she had a name, and it was unbelievable.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, because Birthright was instrumental in my healing.
Yeah. So you started there, which was like one-on-one counseling, it sounds like. Did you go through an actual book, or was it just counseling sessions where you just discussed things? Was there like a structure?
It was not structured. It was more counseling and walking me through one-on-one.
Yeah,
but I love the idea of support groups because I believe in them. Because I think when you're in a group of people who have been through the same thing you have, the way we can communicate with each other is like no other. Because when you've had an abortion and being able to talk about it and not be judged is huge.
Yeah.
And so huge.
Yeah. So you start out with counseling, you do a Rachel's Vineyard that just took you to a deeper level. I love that. And, just going back to your codependency group, I remember when I did my abortion healing program, I knew I was good. I'd been through so much recovery. There was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Man, I did not know how not good I was, right? And that's exciting for me because unless we can peel back the onion, we can't get to the good stuff, right? And so even with your codependency group, you kind of went into that group with the same mindset. And we have a question here. What does codependency have to do with abortion healing? Do you think there's any kind of correlation between codependency and making that decision to abort?
Yep, I do. And I'll tell you why. Because in my relationship with the baby's father, he led me. And I wasn't strong enough. I just went along with things, which is very codependent. I was afraid he was going to leave me if I decided I wanted to keep the baby. There was a lot that plays into your mind at that time and all that fear factor. And I was totally codependent. And I think a lot of times when decisions are made, I'm not saying every person with abortion is codependent. I'll make that clear. But I do think it plays a lot in when people are coerced into an abortion by either the boyfriend, the parents, relatives, friends. So I think when you're listening to people and not having that strength inside of you to say, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Then I think codependency there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I was codependent my whole life, until I got into recovery. So, and that's where I had the opportunity to address it, change my life. I'm still codependent, but I mean, it's not like I was. So,
Oh, exactly.
So let's talk about what you're doing now, Healing Our Hearts. I'm so excited. So part of this healing network is to make sure that the 9 out of 10 people that are struggling after abortion know where to go to get help. So we're going to queue up your information on here. If you can give us contact information, and maybe we can get that up on the screen. Do you have a website or a phone number that you can give us for people to reach out to you?
I do. It's my phone number is 563. I got to remember. I'm sorry. 235-7707. And that's only used for post-abortive ministry or people that have suffered from abortion. And so it's private. Nobody else can use the number. And so if you need to leave your information, it's safe and secure there.
Good. So tell us what you offer now, and how did you make the decision to choose what you do offer? That's kind of like a deep question.
I worked at Dubuque County Right to Life, and Ashley is our executive director there, who is amazing, and she was very instrumental in getting the whole post-abortion healing going. She and I were tossing it back and forth. When I was hired, I told her right off. I called her on the phone and I said, Ashley, I want you to know that I've had an abortion, because I was worried, because it was Dubuque County Right to Life, if they would be okay with me. And so that fear factor came in, and I said, and she was like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. She goes, of course that has nothing to do with whether I want you here. I want you here. And she said, I have plans for us now. And so I put our heads together and we started coming up with ideas. And one of the ideas was Rachel's Vineyard. And then we brought another lady on named Amy, and she's my co-founder of Healing Our Hearts. And she has been my cohort through all of this. And in fact, she went through the Rachel's Vineyard with me as well. And so we decided we were going to put together a Bible study. So we did Surrendering the Secret by Pat Layton. And that was awesome. And boy, can you see from the first day they walk in the door to the last group day, and that healing day and the day where we have a birthday party for our babies. And boy, what a change. What a change I saw in those gals. And I was so blessed that I'm so appreciative for Dubuque County Right to Life to give us this possibility, and now to be able to start putting together a support group. We're in the working process of that, and to do another Surrendering the Secret group. And I have talked with you about the idea of doing a virtual Bible study, which I love because I know how much I'm getting out of my virtual group. And I was a little leery about it, but boy, I'm totally sold on them now.
Let's talk about that, because I bet you there's a lot of people watching that have always done groups in person, right? And there's a dynamic to a group when there's in person, but there's advantages for doing it virtually. Do you want to talk to those that are listening about that? Because you're in one right now and you're experiencing it, and you've done them in person as well.
Right. Well, the thing I like about the in-person is you can hug, but the thing I like about virtual is the fact that I'm meeting women from all over. We're coming together. I can't believe over the internet you can build a friendship. You can build a relationship with the people in your group. Our leader, Jessie, is phenomenal. She is such a good leader, and I just love listening to her talk about herself. She shares so deeply about her struggles, and that gives us that comfort level to then share ours. And we talk, and sometimes we get a little choked up, or sometimes we kind of laugh. We're like going, "Yep, we get that. Yep." Especially in a group of codependent women, we're like, "Yep, I understand that one."
Yeah, I gotta ask you, Teresa, because you're so much like Support After Abortion and our team. We meet so many people out there that are so afraid to let their struggles come through, right? Like they don't want people to see the unhealthy part of themselves, and yet you're like us. We want to do that, right? We want to be the example, not only so that other people are freed up to journey into their own healing, whatever that looks like, codependency, sexual trauma, unraveled roots, anything like that. What is it about you that makes you so willing to go to that place? Is it because you know what's to come, what's on the other side? I mean, I want you to speak to the people that are listening, because so many are like, don't want to do that. And we know the benefit of it. So share away.
Okay, well, I know what it's like to keep the secret, and the secret just makes you and puts your whole person in a very bad place. Secrets are never healthy, and it causes you to spiral in all sorts of different directions. When I started getting my healing, I was able to talk about it out loud. I was able to deal with the feelings that I had been stuffing down inside of me for so long. Then I started to realize, if I'm feeling this way, there's got to be other people that feel the same way I do. And so I found, by being open myself and upfront about what I've been through, people feel comfortable then with me to be able to talk about their experience.
Yeah.
And I want that. I want people to know I'm not here to judge you. Been there, done it, unfortunately. I am here for you. We want to love you into having a healthy view of yourself again, and having a healthy view of healing is okay. You don't have to beat yourself up for the rest of your life. That baby's with Jesus. I mean, he's taking good care of your baby till you go and be with him.
Yeah, and it goes beyond abortion, right? We know the correlation between codependency and abortion, sexual trauma and abortion. There's a really huge connection for that. We all have root causes of how we decide and make choices in our life, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And so we spend our lifetime trying to fulfill a need that we can't fill. And we do it in unhealthy ways. So this is about ongoing health and personal development and growth in your organization. If you want to be in a better position to help other people heal, then you need to be healed as well. That's the message that I'm trying to get to.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. If you're not healed, you're going hurt people hurt people. So you've got to get to that place of being open enough to say, you know what? I mean, I went into the codependency class thinking I was going to be helping people with codependency and come to find out, oh my, I'm codependent. And I would never have known that if I hadn't opened up to the idea of, I want to help other people with this. So I wound up, in turn, I'm helping myself to get better so that I can help other people get better.
Yeah.
So it's this wonderful cycle. You get better, you're able to start bringing people with you into that healing.
Right. Our president of our board said that you have to walk through their door before you can bring them through your own.
Absolutely.
I love that saying, right? You have to meet them right where they are, and providing all the different options that you're providing in your level of after abortion healing and support through a virtual group. You said earlier today when we spoke that you're looking at maybe facilitating Abaddon, having your monthly support group, more like a 12-step program, and now the Rachel's Vineyard. That's just offering some tremendous options for people, for them to be able to connect and have it be convenient for them. So we have about 15 minutes left, and I want you to tell those that are watching more about your conference experience in July, because here's the news, people. We are announcing another virtual conference. It's going to be Thursday through Saturday, October 28th through the 30th, and everybody is going to have access to live booths this time. So tell us about your experience. Encourage the audience to attend in October. What will they take away?
Well, I just have to say, when I received the email from Ashley saying, hey, I think you might want to do this, I clicked on it and I thought, okay, sure, this is my heart, and so I thought, yeah, I definitely want to do this. So I blocked out the weekend so I could do it and not be bothered. I told everybody, make your plans. I got into this and I have never been so blessed. Oh, the testimonies, people talking about their ministries, but the thing that, and I've watched it probably, like I said, I watched your testimony like 5 times. I went on, and the live booths were outstanding. I love the fact that we could ask questions and then they would read our question. And when do you ever get the ability to talk to people that are in ministry and people that you've maybe heard of, but you don't really have contact with, that you're able to talk to them virtually and be able to get that level of understanding, because maybe they've been in it longer than you have, or maybe they came up with an idea that you hadn't thought about, or maybe just the testimonies that they talk about, or the statistics. The statistics blew me away. I had never seen anything like that or heard things like that. So I feel like the conference was I don't think anybody had a clue how they were going to get their socks blown off, because I sat there going, I mean, I couldn't wait to get to the next thing and the next thing. So God bless you guys for doing that, because I received so much, and I've gone back, and because I'm a premium pass holder, I went back and I still am watching some of the videos that I had seen that I wanted to like dissect a little bit more to get more information out of. I stop them and take notes and start them again. And I so encourage people, if you're in any sort of ministry that deals with abortion and healing, if you have had an abortion and you're looking for healing, please come into this conference, because it is wonderful. It'll give you information all in one place. It isn't like you have to go to a bunch of different places. You're going to sit there at your laptop and you just get blessed over and over and over again.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much, for Teresa. Thank you so much. That was a great confirmation. And I want to add to that group of people, if you're clergy, you know that you have women and men sitting in your congregation that are wounded by abortion. Come to this conference and find out how to start that conversation, how to remove the stigma from that word itself, how we can, every one of us has something that comes into our head when we hear that word abortion. And let's stop reacting and let's start showing compassion. Right. So thank you for that. It's October 28th through 30th. Please watch for more information to come. Lots of live booths, which means we have, 70, 100 people on a call, in the Zoom call or whatever the platform is. I'm not sure. Being able to, with a live interview, being able to ask questions and talk amongst themselves. I do have a question in here that I want to get to before we run out of time. And we have an idea about this, but I'm going to pose it to you, Teresa. It says, since we're in this virtual world right now, right? We're making connections virtually. What are we going to do when we go back to meeting in person? How do we stay connected with those people once we go back to meeting in person? Because they're from all over, right? You said it yourself, in your virtual group, you have people from all over the country.
Yeah. Well, I think, for one, if we are able to email them, or if we are able to create a group that can kind of converse. I know a friend of mine that has that's a part of a group, and they have this little group mode that they can click on there and make contact with other people in the group in this little group mode. So I thought that was interesting, because that gives us a chance to connect with them outside of the group. Like, hi, how's your day going? Hey, I heard what we talked about in group, and I just wanted to tell you I'm praying for you, or, things like that, where you can stay connected with them. And you know what? I know there's going to be connection after we all go back to meeting in person, because you're sharing the very depths of who you are in these groups, and you don't want to lose that friend. And so we have to figure out ways of getting emails, cell phone numbers, if we can text back and forth, whatever. But I think it's vital that we stay connected.
Yeah, me too. And that was a really good answer. I didn't think about a Facebook group, but you could have a closed Facebook group where you could, and it could continue to grow, right? As people go through these virtual groups. One of the things that we're thinking about at Support After Abortion is having, this isn't probably what it's going to be called, but like a National Day of Healing, right? Where we have regional gatherings of people in person, and have some kind of, like, how like on New Year's Eve, they have it live from New York City, but then you check in with Chicago and you check in with Seattle and we would like to do that, have like one national speaker and have all these regional gatherings, so that once we aren't meeting virtually anymore, I don't know that we'll ever stop doing it, because our reach is so much longer now, but they can still stay connected by region. So thank you for that answer. Let's see if there's any other questions that we have here that we haven't covered yet. Can we put the contact information for Teresa up again, so we can make sure people can jot down that phone number if you'd like to get in touch with Teresa, connect with all of the support.
Sorry, I can give you my email too, that they could write me as well. And it's Psalm NIV 139@gmail.com. So it's Psalm NIV 139@gmail.com. Because I love Psalm 139.
I gotta ask. Tell us about that psalm. I gotta ask if that's in your email address. Tell us about
it. God talks about knitting us in our mother's womb. And when you think about your baby, you think about the guy created that baby, and he knitted that baby in your womb. And, but he knew that baby, and he loved that baby. And I just think, God, I know you knitted that baby, and I know that I made a bad decision. And Lord, I know you've healed me, and I know you've forgiven me. But when I hear about those babies and myself being knitted in my mother's womb, that's healing to me. And I want people that when they see that, they're thinking, I'm important to God. God loves me, and he knitted me in my mother's womb. And oh, praise the Lord. And it just starts ushering that healing, that you are number one to God. And so And so is your baby.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for that, Teresa. Just a couple more questions. And I love that this person asked this question. Can we speak about post-abortion healing or after-abortion support for men? We forget about men, and we've been very intentional in our ministry to make sure that men feel included, because men are impacted by abortion as well. So do you provide any of your services to men as well as women?
Rachel's Vineyard can be men, women, and families. And
Okay.
so they're all welcome to come to our Rachel's Vineyard. We have talked about going into the men's aspect of the post-abortion healing, because I think it's vital. A lot of men that are these missed group of people in this whole healing process, because people forget, they see the woman who had the procedure and they think about only them, but there's these men that did not want that abortion, that are hurting in silence, and they have nowhere to go. So yes, we're working on trying to develop a program. Pat Layton just had a Bible study for men, and I know there's another one that's out there, and you guys have talked about developing a men's ministry as well.
Yeah, so Pat Layton is Surrendering the Secret. Sheila Harper and Save One has a men's program. Abanon has healing for after abortion for men. And so a website is menandabortion.net. They have some really great resources for men. And if you're a man that's struggling after abortion, contact Support After Abortion. We'll connect you with our male mentors that can take you through healing. So please make sure that you reach out. You are as important to us as women are. So thank you for that question. You're not forgotten.
That's right.
So the last question, and then we'll wrap it up, is where can you get a list of books and resources for abortion healing? Well, we're working on one, and we're going to kind of rate them. Beginner, intermediate, advanced, or something like that. So we're working on it. It's coming. We're going to make it available. I'm hoping through our national database or somehow on our website, we'll make that available to you so you can find out what the curriculum is like, the amount of effort it takes to implement it or participate in it, and all that kind of good information. So
well, you guys
thank you
said
for
it
that.
at the conference too. You guys, when you were interviewing people, you talked about their book. And so I now have a library because of that. I have a whole bookshelf full of post-abortive healing because you guys talked about it at the conference. And when you were interviewing people, if they had a book, you talked about it. And man, I was like clicking Amazon and doing what I needed to do. And the books were so good that I think that's another great thing about the conference, was that you were able to get material in your hands to be able to get your library fuller. At Rachel's Vineyard, they have on the very last day, you have a table full of books and different things about healing ministries and about how to get more healing after your Rachel's Vineyard. And so I think things like that are instrumental when we're trying to get people healed, is talk about the resources.
Yeah. Teresa, this has been so fabulous. Thank you so much. You are just awesome. And, you just speak our language. I really encourage you to move forward with all that you have envisioned, and we wish you the best. For those of you watching, yes, you're very, very welcome. For those of you who are watching, if you're in the Iowa area, because that's where Teresa is from, make sure that you jotted down that number and that email address, Psalm NIV139@gmail.com. Get in touch with her if you want to get together with her in person. And next week, we're going to be doing this all over again. Next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Not exactly sure who my guest is. I'm so sorry. I should have had that information in front of me. But it's going to be good. I can just believe me when I say it's going to be somebody good. Next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Join me on the Support After Abortion Healing Network Facebook Live. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.